A lot of you may think you have high T when really you're operating at 40 to 30% of what your testosterone should be as a man. Due to modernity, large amounts of your potential is being restricted, untapped. Now, I'm not going to say what everyone else says in videos like these. There's a reason a lot of guides are basic and they don't really work. It's because they usually only talk about parts of the puzzle. I'm going to be talking about the untapped stuff that you could be doing for maximal test production. Stuff that doesn't just give you little spikes, but can actually elevate your baseline levels and your free testosterone, turning you into a machine, while connecting everything and giving you the core foundations for the full picture. Testosterone works on a 24-hour clock. Everything you do every day will decide whether your testosterone increases, decreases, or stays the same. Sun is one of the most important aspects for testosterone. The Spartan Greek men had an old practice of exercising nude on sunny beaches so that they could develop strong bodies fit for conquering and achieving. A study at Boston State Hospital proved that UV light has a significant impact on testosterone production. When UV light is exposed to the chest or back, testosterone production increases by an insane 120%. However, they also found that there was a 200% increase when a man's balls were exposed to this UV light. No, it's not a meme, guys. Actually, sunning your balls can help, but I don't really recommend doing that in like your back garden or something, because you may get a few complaints. This sedentary lifestyle of us being indoors, sitting inside all day is not meant for us. It should be getting a minimum of 45 minutes of sunlight exposure every single day. Sunlight, sleep, and diet are some of the most important things you can do for your testosterone. It's further shown as plasma testosterone levels actually decline from November to April and rise steadily through the spring and in the summer until they actually peak in October. Don't worry, you can still have the same highs of tests as in the sunnier months, you just need to be out more. And this obviously contributes to fertility as well. There's a reason why June is the highest month for conception. Now, this sunlight stuff is very important because it's going to link into what I say later on in the video about your diet, but I need to completely expose this myth of vitamin D. You do not get vitamin D from the sun. It's a complete myth. Did you really think that there was vitamin D rays that was coming into our skin and we were just absorbing it like Superman? No, the sun shines UVB light onto our skin, and then the UVB is like a signal on our skin to our body to start producing vitamin D3 from the cholesterol in our body. Cholesterol in our body that we get from our diet. Contrary to popular belief, no, cholesterol does not correlate with heart disease at all in the slightest, and there's no actual reliable studies that suggest this at all. Cholesterol is actually the chemical that is broken down and made into testosterone and the other sex hormones. Now, the best way to get this UVB light is midday and during the sunnier months. However, again, as I said, you can still get adequate amounts, you just need to be out more, especially when it's cloud cover. Now, your skin tone actually matters in how much sun and how much UV you should be getting. Sunscreen is important, yes. However, if you're not pale, you don't need sunscreen at all. And if you are pale, the sunscreen that they usually provide isn't actually good for you, and it can actually negatively affect testosterone, and it's just horrible for you. Now, this skin cancer actually came not from the sun, but from the seed oils in our diet that was causing us to have this reaction to the sun. It's not good for you at all. You need to completely cut out the seed oils for your diet, not only because of testosterone production, but because of overall health in general. But yeah, I'll put on screen some chopped guide on the flipping skin type. I made sure to include most of the races, but you can understand the skin tone and where you need to be. I'd also recommend actually checking how much UV is out for each day. There's certain apps that can do that, and even the weather app on your iPhone can do that. Now, diet. The diet that most doctors and nutritionists recommend all across the world and all in the West is wrong. It's a lie. It's a psyop. Like, for example, you probably think that vegetables are actually extremely healthy for you. This is a lie. This is false. On their own, no, absolutely not. You need to actually have them with your fat-soluble vitamins that you get from your saturated fats, aka the stuff from your animal meats, your raw dairy. But we'll be getting into that whole psyop on the raw milk and all of that stuff later on. They also need to be natural. They can't be coming from no pesticides being sprayed on them or nothing like that. If I had to rank them on their own, they'd honestly be D tier. However, with the proper methods and everything that I said, and bringing them into an overall good diet with a good core base, that's when they move up and they'd probably be somewhere in A tier. But they contain so many nutrients and minerals that your body doesn't even have access to because they're not bioavailable. They're extremely hard to digest and absorb into your stomach. That's why they need to be pre-digested beforehand using the methods I just told you. And a lot of them actually contain many anti-nutrients which can actually impair hormonal and digestive function. When people say in these testosterone videos, just have a diet that's high in protein, they're not getting the full picture, because diet is so much more complex than that. They're ignoring the real detail that's needed, and eating more protein will not fix your hormones at all. It just won't. They lack the knowledge of the true traditional diet that we actually ate. Whether you're European, African, or any of the other ethnicities, I can't think of them at the top of my head, but you know what I mean. This links back to testosterone production. Why? Because specific vitamins and minerals are actually needed for your body to produce the highest amounts of testosterone that it can. Your body can't even use proteins that you ingest if you don't have the sufficient fat-soluble vitamins that you get from your diet in synergy with each other, meaning that you're not taking just specific pills. They need to come from your diet in general so that they can all be upregulated, because having one more than the other is going to negatively impact you severely. And as a whole, the Western world is not getting this from their regular diet, and supplementing it with any sorts of vitamins, tablets, is not going to help you at all, and it's actually dangerous. Now let's go over the vitamins. Vitamin A is completely cracked for your androgen sensitivity and for your testosterone, of course, in general. Androgen receptors are just the sites that testosterone binds to in order for it to actually have any effect and do anything in the body. The more sensitive these sites are and the more of them you have, obviously the more effects of testosterone you're going to have. Like, a guy can have 600 nanograms per deciliter cubed of whatever testosterone, right? And if he has more androgen sensitivity, then he's going to have the effects of someone who even had maybe 1,000. So this is very important. Vitamin A also upregulates your thyroid function, which will increase testosterone and will actually increase your frame size during puberty. Vitamin D3, even more cracked for testosterone, significantly reduces your prolactin levels. Prolactin decreases testosterone and sperm count. And your prolactin actually increases every time you ejaculate without a woman. I shouldn't also have to go into why fapping is bad for your testosterone. Like, it's not one of those guys going to lie to you and say that no fap is going to increase your testosterone by 2,000 or whatever, but it's definitely going to decrease it if you're fapping, especially chronically as well. Anyways, vitamin D3 also increases your levels of IGF-1, which again increases androgen sensitivity. It inhibits aromatase, which just means that less testosterone gets converted into estrogen, obviously to a healthy amount. You don't actually want exclusively low estrogen levels, as that actually helps with your libido, helps with your skin, helps you to look youthful and healthy. You just don't want it extra high. Vitamin D3 is directly anabolic. It's amazing. Now, those are the fat-soluble vitamins that you need to get from your saturated fats. Doesn't matter how many vegetables you eat, even though they're not even a good source of minerals and stuff. But it doesn't matter how many minerals you ingest if you do not have these fat-soluble vitamins, which means you can't use minerals that increase your testosterone, like zinc. Zinc specifically, you're not going to be able to use that at all. You're not going to be able to use any of the minerals. You want to think of it as the minerals being the blocks, the bricks, and the fat-soluble vitamins as activators, as the cement that holds the bricks together, that builds your body. Now, the diet I'm going to recommend to you has 4 times the vitamins and minerals of the modern diet. It's extremely nutrient dense. 40 to 80% of your calories should be coming from your saturated fats. So that's your animal meats, that's your raw dairy products, by the way, raw, not just your pasteurized, semi-skimmed, processed dairy products. I'm not going to go into a whole rant about why raw milk is good. Yes, I am. The presupposition that raw milk contains harmful bacteria comes from the Industrial Revolution, when we first started bringing these animals into these horrible polluted areas. If you know anything about the Industrial Revolution, anything about history, you know exactly why bacteria would obviously get into these cows and even affect the raw milk. Raw milk is so powerful, contains so many mechanisms that stop bacteria. It should tell you how bad the conditions were in the Industrial Revolution. Dairy, in fact, is actually the safest food group to eat. Yes, the safest out of all of the other food groups. And I just said why. The inbuilt enzymes and mechanisms in the raw milk, in the dairy products, that actually stop bacteria from forming. But we'll get into that into a sec. Let's address the elephant in the room. What is raw milk even beneficial? Is there even a point? Is pasteurized milk literally, if you can just get pasteurized whole milk, is that just as good as raw milk? What's the point? Is pasteurization just really just heating, or what is it? Lactoperoxidase is one of the most OP systems in raw milk that make it so safe to actually drink. And as you see in the diagram that I'm literally showing, it is 10 times higher in the animal milks. Countries are literally looking towards using this sort of thing for pasteurization procedures, to make pasteurization better, because it's that effective. You can see the built-in components in the blood of the cow that transfers into the raw milk. The antibodies, the B lymphocytes, the macrophages, neutrophils, T lymphocytes, the immunoglobulins, the antibodies that they have in our body that transfers into the raw milk and completely destroys any bacteria bacteria trying to get in. Like, bro, imagine actually trying to get into raw milk. You are bacteria and you're trying to get into raw milk, and there's all these mechanisms that's stopping you.
Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up. Fight back! Fight back! Fight back!
There's a 5-fold protection system in raw milk that literally makes it safer than pretty much any other product on planet Earth. Even improves your gut bacteria significantly. If you know anything about your gut health, you know that this is one of the best things you can do to optimize your brain. The reason why it's so good for your gut is because of the fat intake. The fat in it actually helps you so much. Now, 99% of the bacteria that supposedly comes from the raw milk in many of these recorded cases actually came from other foods in the diet that these people were eating. But because they happened to drink raw milk, the government and the people recording these studies automatically assumed it was the raw milk that was causing these bacteria. There is large amounts of government bias against this. It's really, really shady. You need to realize that even after all of these cases of supposedly raw milk being the cause of these bacteria, pasteurized milk still actually has more cases of infection, bacteria, and spreading disease than raw milk. The reason for that is pasteurization does not make the milk sterile at all. In fact, it actually invites more bacteria, higher chance of bacteria. Why? Because the bacteria that was in the milk, the good bacteria that was making it good and healthy, is not there anymore. So there's no competition. Any bacteria can just come in and completely take over the whole place, which is dangerous. It's absolutely insane how people have managed to twist this just from old 40-year-old science that this is the case for raw milk. Now let's talk about nutrition. Raw milk is insanely good for you. Calcium, much higher content. You have longer and denser bones using raw milk. There's large amounts of animal studies to show this, and anecdotal evidence from people in the countries that actually are allowed to drink raw milk and drink it regularly. Vitamin B12, inactivated by pasteurization. Vitamin B6, very poorly digested in the gut with pasteurization. Vitamin D, in pasteurization, the vitamin D content is literally cut in half. It completely destroys the amount of vitamin D that is available. An enzyme which helps with the uptake of iron, destroyed during pasteurization. Iodine, severely lowered in pasteurized milk. If you know anything about iodine, about the thyroid, this completely helps with testosterone production. If there's lower iodine, of course, it's going to be a lower amount of testosterone indirectly. Raw milk is better in literally every single way. I'm not going to go over all the other things, but you get the point. Now let's go over pasteurized milk. You know why lactose intolerance is actually increasing in the West by a severe amount? It's because pasteurized milk is severely allergenic. Why? Because the proteins that are meant to be in the raw milk, our body sees those and they're like, okay, those are good proteins. However, because of pasteurization, the proteins completely crumble and they become foreign to the body. So the body automatically thinks that those proteins need to be attacked, and it's not good for the body. Pasteurized milk is extremely allergenic, and there have been multiple studies to show the link towards this. Over 80% of people who are lactose intolerant can actually consume raw milk just fine. Case closed. But yeah, listen to the science. Yeah,
milk is a health hazard. The reason they pasteurize is because serious bacterial contaminant. That can cause people to get sick. Raw milk is a superfood for baby calves. But if you're not a baby calf, I'd skip it.
Listen to the same guy who's talking about how Coca-Cola is more healthy than meat. Are you serious? It's the same studies funded by Bill Gates. Like, are you not seeing this? Wake up. They don't want you healthy. That's a whole topic for another day. Let's get back to the vid. Yeah, get all of your dairy products raw. You want your saturated fats and your proteins to be balanced. You want your saturated fats actually a bit more than your protein intake, because again, in order for you to actually use the protein, it depletes the vitamin A that comes from your liver. So if you want to actually have high protein diet, this and that, you have to have an equal and even higher amounts of saturated fats that you can get mostly from your dairy products, your butter, your raw milk, your raw cheese. On a diet with zero seed oils, with zero processed and refined sugars that you get from donuts and all this absolute rubbish. You want to be actually cooking your foods like how we used to, with organic butter, lard, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, and yeah, just butter, ghee, like actual yellow orangey butter, not just the white butter that you see. It's not even natural. It's completely processed and made with palm oils and rapeseed oil and all that rubbish. Now carbs, this is very important. You want your carbs, your seeds, your grains, your legumes to be coming from places that aren't just spraying them with loads of pesticides. You want to be preparing them well. You want to be soaking them, fermenting them, pre-digesting them. The reason why these animals can get away with eating large amounts of grass, like these herbivorous animals, is because they have multiple stomachs, multiple chambers to actually digest these foods. And you see the diagram I'm about to put up. Are you looking at those stomachs? It looks alien-like. Then you compare it to our stomach. No, we can't digest these things. That's actually bad for our gut health, and it negatively affects our gut. There's a reason why after having a high carb meal, you're tired. You lack energy because it took a lot of energy from your body to digest it. Whereas if you pre-digest it beforehand, if you're preparing it properly, as I said again, fermenting, boiling, soaking, traditional methods that we use to actually eat these things, then you'll be fine. They need to be naturally leavened. The reason why some of these blue zones can actually have a diet a bit higher in carbs is because the way that they make these carbs, for example, the bread, is actually it's the traditional way that we used to do it. They're made properly. They're not sprayed with pesticides, and they're had with high amounts of saturated fats. Sourdough bread is a great example of this. This actually deactivates a lot of the anti-nutrients in some of these grains. You see in the seeds, legumes, all of that stuff. Preparing it in a proper way will deactivate enzyme inhibitors. It basically just makes it harder to digest. That's what an enzyme inhibitor does. It neutralizes phytic acid, it neutralizes tannins and lectins, and it begins the breakdown of gluten and cellulose, which is extremely hard for us to digest. And it pre-digests for you the complex starches and sugars. This is a must if you want to consume these carbs without any effects and actually for it to benefit you. But of course, people watching this video, none of you are going to really do that. So I'd recommend just having less carbs intake and having a higher intake of the other things that I mentioned, like your saturated fats, your animal meats, etc. Speaking about digestion, salt has been completely demonized. The salt that I'm talking about that is good for you is not the salt that they use and that they refine. They take all the minerals out and they put with loads of additives and aluminium. But I'm talking about the sea salt and the Himalayan salt that you can actually get. That's natural for you. That's good. You can literally use as much as you want. Obviously, don't literally have like 2 kilos of salt in your food, but you can be liberal with the amount that you use. It's not bad for you at all. It's actually extremely good for you. Helps with digestion, especially with carbohydrates. Make your own bread. It's just good. It's not going to make you bloated or anything. You flipping looks maxes. It's not going to do nothing like that to your face. This is the salt that's actually good for you. I'd recommend using pink Himalayan salt though, because those don't contain microplastics, whereas the stuff in the sea, the sea salt, it does. Small amounts of it, but it still does. I'm low-key leaking a lot of sauce here, so I'll keep it simple. Raw dairy foods, high animal fat foods, carbs that are prepared properly and don't have loads of chemicals and pesticides in them. This is a diet that's needed for optimal testosterone and optimal health. However, I'll be doing a full diet maxing guide soon. I'm getting ready to make this. It's going to be amazing. As a healthy man, high amounts of testosterone, or what we consider high amounts of testosterone, is needed to achieve his goals and conquer. The people that want to take more action and get more value out of this video, I have a document that you can DM me for that goes into super depth on pretty much all the stuff that I talk about in this video. It's going to give you full actionable steps and guides that you can actually take to actually do the stuff in this video to your full capacity. It's completely free, by the way. It's just if you want to take more action, do more, and get more value out of this video. Now, there's actually insane amounts of propaganda against fasting due to improper practices and misconceptions spread without the way to actually do it properly. You can fast and lose no muscle. You can fast and actually gain in strength, and I'll be talking about why later. You can fast and actually have more energy, and you can exercise just fine during a fast as long as you're not running ultra marathons. But fasting increases inflammation and cortisol. It's bad for your testosterone. Okay, so using this logic, working out is bad for your testosterone as well. Exercise is also bad for your testosterone as well. Yeah, when you're doing both of these things, your cortisol and your inflammation increase. However, after you finish exercising and working out is when the benefits come in and these levels drop to lower than they were before. This is the same thing with fasting. However, there's very specific things that you need to do in order to get the full benefits and the full potential from fasting that most people don't do, especially because how you break your fast is the most important part. Again, with the whole it increases inflammation, they fail to realize the nuance of the situation. For the first stage of fasting, yes, throughout the first day or two, the inflammation and cortisol increase a little bit, but during the second stage is when these both drop significantly and continue to drop, so much so that's almost 2 times less than what it was before. It's literally gone up a bit and then low and then lower and then lower, and this continues to go down throughout the fast. This is why people feel more calm and relaxed while fasting. They literally feel more focused, on edge. They feel like their mind is like a thin blade, refined, sharp. GnRH is a hormone that is secreted and produces luteinizing hormone, and this even starts the process of puberty. Why am I telling you this? The luteinizing hormone causes the testicles to produce testosterone. This is important information, so just follow along. When an adult man is deficient in GnRH, his testosterone levels will be down to castration level. To fix this, they inject the men with GnRH. This increases luteinizing hormone in his balls produce testosterone. But they actually found in people who were fasting, they were more sensitive to GnRH, and they actually became more sensitive the longer they fasted. Now, when you're refeeding using animal protein, your IGF-1 increases, and IGF-1 actually makes GnRH. This is why when you're refeeding, GnRH increases and testosterone increases. However, this could be just one of the ways that fasting increases testosterone. Not only do studies support this, but large amounts of anecdotal evidence from people and their results from fasting in this way show not only steady rises in free testosterone levels after the days of refeeding, but the colossal increase in free testosterone levels weeks after the refeeding. This is only if you refeed with animal protein. Now, the people who refeed with carbs due to the sudden insulin spike undergo many sorts of problems. This is actually called refeeding syndrome and can possibly cause a heart attack and more problems if not careful. You can't refeed with plants, fruits and fibers because they found that this causes intestinal bleeding. But Fritz, I'm gonna lose so much muscle and gains, bro. I'm not getting any protein while I'm fasting. Wrong. And as I said before, in fact, you can be even stronger without any food, yes. But how is this even possible? That sounds crazy. Your body literally needs food all the time to even function, right? This is what you've been subconsciously told and verbally told your whole life. Body actually protects your muscles during a fast. The hunger feeling you get is the body using the glucose in the liver to keep your blood sugar levels normal. But there's only so much glucose in your liver. If you fast, you're not going to go into a coma because your blood sugar levels are low and there's no glucose in your liver. You're actually going to be finished with stage 1. In fact, a completely insane loony scientist took people who were fasting and forcibly lowered their blood sugar levels using insulin. One guy's blood sugar literally went to 9. Modern doctors would say this guy should literally be in a coma right now and that he should be having multiple seizures and his body should be shutting down. But these men had zero symptoms of hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. Why? Because our body develops an alternate food source called ketones. Ketones are not only more efficient than glucose, but actually give the body more energy. And ketones specifically stop your muscle from breaking down. They protect your muscles from breaking down and actually hold on to the protein in your body. Multiple studies support this. If you're on a high carb diet, which is what most people are on, this will not only extend the first stage, which is the hardest stage to get through, but it will extend it for multiple days. Now in stage 2, your hunger actually ceases and your body starts to use the ketones, and your energy will actually be higher. This is actually due to the reduced inflammation and the ketones in the body. Now this very minute pause on your gains will actually benefit you significantly, as not only does testosterone increase significantly after refeeding, your free levels in particular will stay high multiple weeks afterwards. But not only this, they found that for people who fasted, the myostatin actually decreased throughout the fast and plummeted even further after refeeding. If you know anything about myostatin, you know this is absolutely insane for gains, as more myostatin actually means less gains. Myostatin literally reduces your muscle gain. You can literally look at this cow and these Belgian cows that don't have myostatin in their body. They lack it. And they literally look like freaks of nature. It actually looks disgusting. Now to further support my point that it won't matter for your gains, is that your muscles and protein are technically always breaking down. However, in a healthy person, muscle protein synthesis is higher than this breakdown. However, when you're fasting, the speed at which your muscle breaks down is actually slowed significantly. And even after refeeding, they found that this breakdown was even lower and continued afterwards. So this sounds crazy. You can build muscle, is increasing in testosterone and focus and concentration. Fasting sounds like a hack. But how should we even fast? If you're fat and you have more if you're fat and you have more fat in your body, you can fast for longer and more frequently. However, if you don't have a lot of fat in your body, if you're, let's say, sub 10% body fat, I wouldn't recommend fasting. And if you're over 10% body fat but you're not too fat, one fast every 1 or 2 months is fine, lasting at least 5 to 10 days. Now, I know this sounds crazy, literally not eating anything for almost a whole week. I know it sounds insane, it sounds like you should literally die, right? But before the fast, to make this 10 times easier, you just want to be reducing your carbohydrate intake, your carbs intake. And this is so that the first stage doesn't last as long. and it's not as hard. And I need to stress this enough, do not eat anything, not even little fruits to keep you along, as this will literally make you more hungry, more ravenous as stage 1 lasts longer. You'll notice that your hunger comes in waves at the time that you usually eat if you're still in stage 1. Simply ignoring these waves of hunger will do you just fine. As I said again, the less fat and the less body fat percentage you have, the less I would advise fasting frequently. But for the average person, aka 15 to 20% body fat, you'll be just fine fasting again once a month or once every 2 months. Intermittent fasting will be just fine. However, when most people are actually refeeding during the intermittent fasting, what happens is that they either not getting enough calories, or again they're refeeding using mainly carbohydrates. But however, if you're in a position where you just eat what your mom cooks you, then just try to lower down on the carbs, mate. Second, in order to actually keep your muscles and to lose as little muscle as possible and to gain muscle, you want to actually be exercising every single day, some form of exercise. Whether that be going on a walk for 10-15 minutes or going to the gym, some form of exercise needs to be had every single day. Third thing, and this is just a thing if you're trying to measure your body fat or whatever, you're not 10% body fat. Trust me, you'll know if you're 10% body fat because it will be intentional. You don't just randomly end up at 10% body fat. And trust me, your body fat is much higher than you actually think you are, especially because these fitness influencers, they like to lie about their actual body fat percentage to seem like they're more lean and they're more chiseled. Just trust me, you're not 10%. Or maybe you are. Don't sue me on that, bro. Be perfectly fine fasting as long as you have enough fat in your body. There was a guy who literally fasted for an entire year. He was 200 kilos and he managed to completely decrease with no food. I'm not even joking. He fasted for a whole year. He didn't eat for a whole year and he was perfectly fine. He actually reduced to 80 kilograms. So from 200 to 80 kilos in 1 year. So yes, this is another way you can actually reduce your fat if you're overweight. And yeah, it's quite cracked. The fourth tenet, you need to be consuming enough salt every single day. And you need to be consuming enough electrolytes every single day as well. So this can be from lemon juice or pretty much anything that can increase electrolytes. I wouldn't recommend taking stuff like Gatorade or whatever sports drink, as you can just get your natural electrolytes from lemon juice and stuff like that. You don't need no Gatorade or anything like that. As I said again, Himalayan pink salt or Celtic sea salt is the salt you should be using. Don't want you having none of that table refined salt with all those additives and aluminium inside it. No minerals at all, not good for you, don't try it. And the last pitfall is not refeeding with enough calories and not refeeding with enough animal protein. If you're going to be refeeding, you have to be refeeding with enough protein, animal protein, not just from flipping chickpeas or soybeans or something like that. It has to be from animal protein. Now it's time for some of the untapped methods that most people don't actually talk about in these sorts of videos that I think helps colossally. And I only think this works if you're actually doing the bare minimum, which is your diet, having a good diet. You don't necessarily have to be fasting, although that can help significantly. And of course, getting your sleep, mate. Like, I'm not going to do a whole segment about sleep. You know, to get your sleep if you want testosterone. This is not even winning. Winning has been shown to increase the testosterone of people supporting their football teams that win. This is substantially, like for the entire day, they're just got a high of testosterone. However, I conclude that this goes deeper. Anything can technically be a win depending on how you see it, on how you view it. Think about what makes up a successful, productive day. A successful day is just a day composed of you winning. The whole day, you're just on your task, you're on your grind, you're doing what you need to do. That is just a day of you winning, conquering the day. If you're not doing anything that furthers you and makes you more productive towards the goals that you have, it doesn't matter how you feel, you're going to feel like you lost that day. There's going to be something wrong and you're going to get that feeling of emptiness, like you didn't do something with your day. Especially your mindset on how you view the magnitude of your small wins throughout the day. When you're ticking off your goals, you should be happy and proud, and you should see that as a win. You've just conquered your day. You've just gone one step, however small that step might be, closer towards your goals. Studies have shown that if you literally believe you're a winner, you just believe you're a winner, that you just win, your testosterone will naturally increase. This even goes on to what I said in my mindset video. I truly believe that brainwashing yourself, yes, literally self-brainwashing, because we're being sort of manipulated, brainwashed in many ways subtly, so we may as well brainwash ourselves if we want to. Constantly affirming that the world is yours, it's yours for the taking, you can do anything. It's not going to only help you with your success, but I generally think that's something that can actually increase your testosterone. Like, this is the mindset of people who have literally changed the world, defined their epochs, defined their eras. So I think it's definitely something that you should start to look into and even start to affirm to yourself and do. Now sprinting, I'm sure you've heard that sprinting increases your testosterone by a gazillion percent, increases your growth hormone by a gazillion percent as well, right? Although I said these are spikes at the start, I still think that they can have an effect on increasing your testosterone, especially coupled if you're doing everything in this video as well. I think that can contribute as well, most definitely, to your testosterone in the long term. I'm not recommending you doing sprinting every day, high intensity sprinting every day, but definitely just once or twice a week, getting in some good high intensity sprints is not going to do you harm. It's going to do you good. And the people who are, mate, these guys, but your cortisol levels are actually gonna increase. Cortisol, it ages you, it's bad for your collagen. Shut up, man, quit all that whining, bro. Cortisol's gonna increase. Sure, cortisol elevation is not bad at all, and it's very minuscule as well. It goes down literally straight afterwards, and compared to throughout the entire day, it's literally nothing. It's chronic, prolonged elevation of cortisol that is bad for you. Now, explain in more detail again if you want the document. Breathing is extremely underrated, especially when it upregulates literally all of your other hormones. Most people are only using 40-60% of their breathing capacity. People who get less oxygen in their lungs, less oxygen in their body when they're sleeping, they actually have less hormone production. If you have a wider palate, you literally have more hormone production of pretty much everything. It's upregulation of everything, and it's literally just good for you to get more air in your body. Most people, they're breathing shallowly, they're anxious. You need to be breathing with your belly, with your diaphragm, breathing deeply, not just taking in as much air, but literally breathing through like your balls, like your organs, feeling the breath move in your body. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you should be chronically aware of your breathing at all times and breathe deeply and just stress over it, but actually there's an exercise you can do a few times a week if you want to. Depends how much action you want to take. Now, it's literally box breathing for 2 minutes a day. It will do you well, and it will actually train your body to breathe like that normally. But again, it all depends on how much you box breathe, how frequently you do it, etc. Right? Depends on how serious you want to actually take this. Even just consciously remembering it and keep on like pestering yourself, sort of like, not chronically, like I don't mean every single second just worrying about it, but sort of, oh, okay, I'm being a bit shallowly right now, let me just breathe through my diaphragm. Your diaphragm isn't like your actual stomach, by the way. It's actually quite like near to your rib cage. It's like, yeah, see, I can feel it right there. You'll get a feel for it when you do it. Body language and posture. I'm not going to tell you to like autistically power pose every 5 minutes, but definitely doing like a power pose in the morning. Your body language in general not being restricted, opening up your airways, having your shoulders back. You know what good body language is, confident body language. You know, I definitely think it has a sort of mental impact on you, and this can transfer, in my opinion, I think, to even testosterone increases. I don't mean like incremental, I mean over time. If you're doing everything in this video, if you're overall more healthy, this is going to add to that upregulation. Your body language is literally a mirror of your mind and your mental state. Visualization. I firmly believe that visualization can have an effect, again, on testosterone and your mental. Again, there's no peer-reviewed studies on this or whatever, but you know what I mean. I genuinely believe that visualizing that full potential version of you, working towards that, and even just visualizing being that person and integrating that into yourself, I think that can definitely increase your testosterone. Again, I did make a vid fully on that, so if you're like interested in something like that, then definitely give that a watch. It's a very interesting video. I enjoyed making it. Investing in a standing desk as well it will reduce how sedentary you are in your entire lifestyle. There's a reason I'm actually recording my video like this. I usually record my videos with just me sitting down, but there's a reason I'm actually in this whole other setup, and it actually looks kind of tough. Let me actually see. Yeah, this looks tough, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, literally moving your setup on like your chest of drawers. That's literally where I have my setup right here. It's kind of weird, but like if you really want to take it that far, then you can do that if you want to. This is literally how I have my setup right now. Competition and community, who you surround yourself with. Healthy competition is fine, and I think it actually does wonders for men in actually sharpening their blade and getting ready to be competitive in the world. But I think it's the dosage that makes the poison, and most men are actually extremely like sort of hyper competitive. They're always trying to one up each other in some pissing contest sense. Real confidence comes from not needing to do that for your mental psyche. If you always feel like you need to one up the next guy, maybe you're not the guy. Okay, maybe you're not the guy. Yeah, people take it too far most of the time, and I think they need to chronically compete with everyone around them. Community is important too. I shouldn't have to say that. Like, who you surround yourself with, I 100% believe is going to increase your test in some way, or will affect your mental state, affect your test in some way. Now, the reason I didn't actually focus on plastic in this video, because although plastic has been shown to maybe decrease testosterone levels, and it could be the reason why testosterone levels have decreased, I think it is the reason, but there isn't actually much we can do about about it, bro. Unless you want to go live on Mars where there's no plastic and you can't interact with plastic in your day-to-day life, there isn't much you can do unless you have money. Obviously, you know, being away from most of the plastics, trying to buy clothes that have organic materials again costs more. Even getting your water, like, bro, I get all of my water from plastic bottles. What am I meant to do, bro? And to go to my nearest spring and drink my water there? You get what I mean. However, there is a good way to detox. You can go into saunas and actually detox, but again, if you're just going to be exposing yourself to those plastics again, then what's really the point, mate? I guess it's maybe to stop the accumulation. Going into a sauna to detox, I think maybe that can have an effect, most definitely. Obviously, switching out your plastics for metal pans, containers, wooden stuff, interacting like with paper bags more instead of like plastic bags. You understand, you consciously know how to avoid plastics in your life. What you can expect from the optimization of this guide is the testosterone that we used to have. Testosterone levels of around 800, 900, maybe 1,000, even more if you're implementing even like all of these steps. But I'm not going to say you're going to have testosterone of 2,000 nanograms per deciliter free testosterone. No, it's obviously not going to be the case. Because what you need to realize is these are the average levels of beforehand. Beforehand, we used to have average levels of 900, 800. So definitely implementing the core things could help, but I do think these extra things give that boost. Not just like 2 nanograms per deciliter. I think that can get you to the 1,000, 1,200, even more potentially. This is why I think I don't need side studies for this. I know this through my own experience, through people that I know, many other things. I don't need side review studies to have confidence in this, right? But this video will most definitely bring up your test to what it should be as a man. If you want more detailed and actionable stuff on all the things I said in this video, again, you can DM me on Instagram. I want people who actually want to take action to DM me. If you're slightly interested in maybe joining my community, now is definitely the time. The only prerequisite is just a video call with me in which I just assess you. I assess if you're fit for the community, if you are really trying to get to your goals, get on this grind like everyone else in the community is, and you can associate yourself with those sorts of people. But always remember, you can achieve anything and the world can truly be yours. Peace.